Now, what is the purpose of incentives? This will be a two-part question.
It's a trick question.
It's a trick question.
So the purpose of incentives obviously would be to get a person motivated to do whatever they're accountable to do. I mean, that's my dictionary definition. What's the other part of the question?
Okay, so each role has a couple of incentives, but how would you deal with team members who feel they should receive part of another team member's incentive because that patient would also run through their hands at some point during the appointment?
Okay, so if multiple people have their hands on the same patient, then I would, if the incentive is structured properly, both people will be compensated in some way for doing their job. You as a team need not worry about what the next person is doing. Now, if the incentive structure is a mess, that's a different story. Assuming it's put in place the way we teach it, then, I might get an incentive for presenting a case. I don't know, crown. The treatment coordinator will then get an incentive for closing the case. What do you think? I'm paying the incentive twice. No, it's done in a way that this person is being incentivized for what they're accountable to doing. They're accountable to presenting it. And that's what they do. And their incentive dollar amount will be representative of what they're putting into it, right? All they can do, let's say it's a hygienist, okay? All a hygienist can do is they can present the treatment. They can't now take the patient into the consult room and sell it, like close it. I wouldn't recommend they do it anyway. It's optically a problem, and there's, again, just follow our system, okay? It just works. So this person, the hygienist, can get an incentive for presenting a crown. Then the treatment coordinator would then get a separate incentive for closing that. But they're mutually, yes, it's the same process, but they're tied to the accountability. So when you're talking about incentives, I know people will spin this and bend this in their minds many different ways, right? But when you're talking to your team members who may have raised the question that you're asking me, well, I mean, obviously these questions came from team members and it came from offices. You didn't just make them up. So someone's asking this question, well, this person's doing this, so why should they? Kind of question, right? The thing is that we just have to all focus on what we're doing. If my incentive is to present treatment, then I'm going to just present treatment, right? Why do I need to worry about what they're doing? So long as it's fair. Because if we set it up, I bet you if you ran the numbers at the end of the month, they're both getting the same incentive, give or take. So if they spent their energy focusing on doing what they're supposed to do, they would both get the incentive and everyone would be pretty well whole, right? So instead of getting excited about this person's getting this and that person's getting that, just focus on what am I doing? Am I doing the best job that I can do? Because I'll tell you one thing, if I'm getting an incentive to do something, the only thing I want to know about is how can I do that better? How can I do this thing that I'm incentivized better, faster, more, whatever, right? Why do I care what the other person's doing? It's not my business, not my problem. It shouldn't be. But people just can't resist peeking over the fence, right? And having that, you gotta wipe jealousy out of your mind. I mean, that coveting other people's things is a problem. That's not gonna help you do your job, and it's gonna just lead to, animosity in the team and issues, right? So the short answer is get people to focus on their thing.
Perfect.